Hit it. Where's Waldo? Where's Waldo? Did you see him?
With a Democratic congressman comparing Republicans to Nazis. This is Congressman Steve Cohen, a Democrat from Tennessee.
I am a representative of District 9, and my district voted strongly for Hillary Clinton.
Show me a case, please, where a good man or woman with a gun protected and stopped the use of a weapon. Show me a case, please, where a good man or woman with a gun protected and stopped the use of a weapon. That canard doesn't occur. That just dog won't hunt.
Armed citizens are stopping criminals every day.
You can't handle the truth.
Studies consistently show that Americans use their firearms in defense of themselves or others between 500,000 and 2 million times a year.
A big lie, just like Goebbels. You say it enough, you repeat the lie, you repeat the lie, you repeat the lie, and eventually people believe it.
Show me a case.
On February 9th, when 3 armed men attempted to rob a Little Caesars Pizza in North Fort Myers, Florida, a patron inside pulled his own firearm to defend other customers. One suspect was shot, and the other 2 fled.
Show me a case.
On February 12th, a homeowner in Jackson County, Georgia, heard someone trying to break into her house through a window. She found a man standing outside and warned him, "Don't come into the house." Nevertheless, the man broke the glass window, so the armed homeowner shot him.
We need to have more police, and we need to protect them, and we need to protect our citizens.
This country is wild with guns, and we need to restrict them.
On February 20th, a 79-year-old Commerce, Georgia homeowner called 911 to report a burglary in progress after she heard someone breaking into her house. The burglar ignored her threats and came in through an upstairs window before police could arrive. The homeowner shot at the burglar, who was so scared that he hid in a closet until the police arrived.
People shouldn't lie, and we should not permit it to go on and on and on. It's been lie after lie after lie, and I think the lies should be stood up to, and if you don't stand up to the lies, they become the truth.
Your reaction to what you heard at that rally in North Carolina from President Trump overnight?
It was more reminiscent of Germany during the beginnings of the Hitler regime. I saw pictures of President Obama as Hitler, and I found that reprehensible. I didn't compare the Republicans to Nazis.
Congressman, there are those who will say that your rhetoric just now, invoking the specter of Hitler, for example, means that you are just as responsible for the heated rhetoric as anybody else.
Just what it is. You know, I'm not suggesting anybody's a Nazi.
I just don't understand why you have to bring the Nazis in to a discussion about health care and your opponents. I mean, your comments seem especially hypocritical given that you just wrote an editorial in Roll Call about the dangers of hateful rhetoric and reckless speech.
I had relatives that were killed in the Holocaust. I don't like it being used.
The Tea Party people are kind of like without robes and hoods. They have really shown a hardcore, angry side of America that is against any type of diversity. And we saw opposition to African Americans, hostility toward gays, hostility to anybody who wasn't just a clone of George Wallace's fan club. And I'm afraid they've taken over the Republican Party.
Do you really think your comments advance civility in the public discourse?
I guess they don't advance civility per se, but I think telling lies is uncivil, and I think somebody needs to stand up to the lies that are being told. Keep it short, keep it simple, and do it over and over and over, and eventually the people will believe it. Keep it short, keep it simple, keep it over and over, and people will believe it. You say it enough, you repeat the lie, you repeat the lie, you repeat the lie, and eventually people believe it. He said repeat it, make it short, make it simple, and repeat it over and over, and that's what they've done.
Most reasonable people would say you're comparing the Republicans to a Nazi propaganda.
You use Nazi imagery to describe
but Anderson, the
your
difference
Republican
is
opponents.
President Obama has done nothing like Hitler.
People don't smoke marijuana and beat up their wives and girlfriends. They get drunk. Sometimes they beat up their wives and girlfriends.
Say your opponents are, salesmen and are using sales tactics to sell something. You don't have to say that they're Nazis and Goebbels. I don't
Let me say this.
Coming from.
I won't say it again, but I was right.
He won't stand up against neo-Nazis and far-right extremists, KKK in Charlottesville.
I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis.
I think it's pretty clear that the federal government Justice Department was weaponized during the previous administration. Michael Cohen went to jail for doing what Donald Trump asked him to do.
Mr. Trump denied directing his so-called fixer to break the law by buying the silence of two women.
That Michael Cohen incident, that's the one that galls me. A guy went to jail because he worked for Donald Trump and he did what Donald Trump told him to do.
Because what he did was all unrelated to me, except for the two campaign finance charges that are not criminal and shouldn't have been on there. They put that on to embarrass me. They put those two charges on to embarrass me. They're not criminal charges.
Can we go back into that and these rules?
What I remember about Michael Cohen is the first big hearing that the House Oversight Committee had was with Michael Cohen in early 2019, I believe. Michael Cohen lied 7 times under oath in front of the House Oversight Committee. We actually did a referral letter to the Justice Department, so that's what I remember.
When you made false statements to financial institutions concerning a home equity line of credit, taxi medallions, and your Park Avenue apartment in 2013, 2014, and 2015, and you pled guilty to making those false statements to those banks, was that all done to protect the president?
No, it was not. Mr. Chairman, this is my time. I'm going to reclaim it because.
But you asked me a question. That's how I would just respond.
But you're not. That's not the answer. The answer is about.
Well, you may not like. That's my answer. You may not like it, but I'm allowed to give the answer.
The question was, can we go back to what Trump did to weaponize the Justice Department?
Cohen pleaded guilty to a host of federal crimes, including tax fraud and lying to Congress.
The issue is the weaponization of the Justice Department that happened under Trump like never before in our country's history.
I was talking about the weaponization of the Justice Department.
And Mr. Lanny Davis had his client plead guilty to 2 offenses that aren't offenses, that the prosecutor insisted were offenses. That's why he's no good. That is Michael Cohen against Donald Trump.
The guy went to jail because he worked for Donald Trump and he did what Donald Trump told him to do.
Donald Trump's in the clear. Let's say Donald Trump even directed Michael Cohen to make payments in non-disclosure agreements. So what?
Let me tell you, I never directed him to do anything wrong. Whatever he did on his own. He's a lawyer. A lawyer who represents a client is supposed to do the right thing. That's why you pay them a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera.
Michael Cohen went to jail for doing what Donald Trump asked him to do.
I want the news media to understand, you know what took place in the Southern District of New York? Nothing that matters. There was no violation of federal campaign laws. Lanny Davis blew it. Lanny Davis, he puts out a tweet today. Today, Cohen stood up and testified under oath that Donald Trump directed him to commit a crime. You're a dummy, Lanny, by making payments to 2 women for the principal purpose of influencing an election. If those payments were a crime for Michael Cohen, then why would they be a crime for Donald Trump? They weren't a crime for Michael Cohen. He screwed himself, and they're not a crime for Donald Trump either. Now move along and go back into your corner with Hillary Clinton.
People shouldn't lie, and we should not permit it to go on and on and on.